Today we're going to learn how to paint non-metallic metal steel quick and dirty.
That the entirety of the cosmos is accessible to each and every individual's mind, connecting to the great mind, the great spirit.
Welcome back to the channel, collectors. So in this video series, what I do is I build and create a Necron diorama to commemorate the launch of Indomitus. So I've created an exclusive video for my Patreons of how I built and conceptualized this Necron diorama. Alright, so in this Necron diorama, the concept is that the environmental light tends to be very green, and they are standing in this green environment. So this quick and easy steel would be to illustrate how steel would look in a green environment. So if you are ready, let us begin. Alright, so right now we're gonna start mixing the colors for the steel looking colors on this Necron overlord. Colors I'm using are Chimera Black, Raw Umber from Joe Sonia, Few Blue from Vallejo, and Fluorescent from Scale 75. Also we're gonna be using Ivory from Vallejo Model Color. So right now I'm creating different tones. So the idea is to have a warm under base coat and to have a bluish mid-tone, while the highlights will be influenced by green, as to be coherent with the rest of the brass armor. Okay? So these are the colors. So we're going to start with the base color first. Okay, so we're going to start base coating all the steel looking areas. Right now I'm going to be painting the stuff a steel color. You can see the final effect on the rest of the miniature where the Necron has some joints, and that's the final effect. Okay, so right now we are just base coating, and after the base coat we're going to the mid-tones. I'm going to be using pure Few Blue from Vallejo Model Color for the mid-tones. When you are painting the steel, it's also good to make sure that the highlights are coherently placed with the rest of the miniature. As you guys can see on the stuff right here, the highlights are coherently placed with the brass highlights. So this allows the entire highlight to be aligned and to give the effect more convincingly. Alright, so next, moving on, I'll be using the green highlight 1. This green highlight 1 is to showcase the green fluorescent light effect that the entire Necron is standing under. It needs to be visibly green so that when the viewer looks at this, it automatically is read as green rather than not being very sure. This is the intermediate color from the mid-tone to the highlight, so it can be a little bit more saturated towards the fluorescent green. Just placing in some secondary highlights in some areas to allow the entire miniature to be a bit more readable. Okay, now moving on, we're going to be placing the highlights. So the highlight is going to be a high value, less saturated version of this color. So when placing the highlights, things to take note of: edges tend to be lit up a lot more, and also do take note about the shapes of the things that you're highlighting. You want to make sure that the entire miniature is coherent, and when you are highlighting, this allows the miniature to be even more readable, as you guys can see right here. Just placing in really strong highlights in some of the areas to showcase that these areas are a lot more reflective and a lot more shiny. So this is the final result. So right now I'm going to be creating a less green secondary highlight. So this secondary highlight arises from the light bouncing off and the environment, which might not necessarily be green. That's why the secondary highlight tends to be less saturated as compared to the main highlight. So right now I'm also going to be creating some secondary highlights which are a little bit more saturated, and this will be situated towards the side with the light. Alright, so this is the final effect. Some tips when painting steel is always to remember that steel is very reflective, and when polished it takes on the colors from the environment as well as the main light source. So, what do you think about this method? Let me know in the comments below. How are you painting your Necrons and stuff? Also, I would like to thank you guys for watching all the way to the end. Okay, so if you want to support the channel, do remember you can always become a Patreon, and I'm trying to create more exclusive content for my patrons so that we can become better painters together. Alright, you guys know the drill. Like, subscribe, all the other stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. See you!